As we all know, Valve is the most dangerous company to have ever existed. Their patented strategy of do literally nothing and wait till opposition shoots itself in the foot has been absolutely unmatched in terms of efficiency in at least the past decade. And everyone fears them because of it. Steam is obviously too powerful, and AAA is too weak.
Listen up, if this works, it is going to be huge for gaming. What's going on is that Steam wants to
Nice.
revolutionize how you discover games. They are testing a new system that could kill traditional games marketing as we know it. You might be thinking, gosh,
Wait. We can't kill traditional games marketing. That's how I find AAA slop to make fun of. Is Steam trying to make me jobless? I'm already jobless. Oh no! Wait, this sounds bad suddenly. Steam? Gabe, please listen, okay? We don't have. AAA needs to continue existing, okay? Daddy needs a little bit more money.
that's a lot. Why are they doing it now? There's a very simple reason why. It's because the current system is goddamn broken. I mean, listen to what a recent indie publisher said. Quote, times have well and truly changed. Having a great game is still half the battle, but if you don't have the money to pay for success, you'll likely have problems. Now, what they're talking about here is needing massive piles of cash just for marketing. But here's the thing, right? That's not even working. There are as many cases of massive marketing budgets leading to just about nothing. And making this video, me and my team know that this is.
I have talked about this multiple times. As someone from finance, I have never seen any real evidence that average marketing campaigns provide any sort of benefit. At least this kind. It is insane. Like, marketing, either it visibly is amazing or it completely shits the bed. There's no, oh, marketing is somewhat useful.
Really important because you basically keep telling us. We often cover shit shows or games that just underperformed. And what happens in the comments is you guys say, wow, that looks really cool. It's a shame I never knew it existed. Well, the good news is Steam has noticed and they're about to change everything. Now, there's also a problem I've seen a dozen times and I'm going to
Oh,
solve it
the
for free.
ad.
We begin with a simple fact, which is that gaming is in a bit of a crisis right now. Traditional marketing tools are weaker than ever. Content creators need to be paid unless they're trying to hop on a trending game. Traditional press can barely do anything after all of the layoffs that they have faced as well. And, well, they just
Saying that your average IGN is facing problems because of the layoffs? Oh, that is just misunderstanding the situation by a lot, okay? IGN is facing problems, and sites like IGN are facing problems because they lie and everyone knows it.
get forced to make SEO guide slop. There's a lot of problems, and this is all happening in a year with more games than ever before, even more great games than we've ever seen. And the brutal truth is, it does not matter how good your game is if nobody buys it, and that is where Steam is stepping in. And it's doing that in the form of a new test on Steam Labs. So here it is. They've built an 8-week calendar, and it's actually quite similar to what SteamDB already has. Now, the calendar shows you 3 things: games that released in the last month, games from the last 7 days, and most importantly, upcoming games organized by release day. Now, think about this problem. On any given day, Steam might release 100 or more games. So that's kind of not useful. Now, we actually try to solve this over on Loading Screen, which is our newsletter for members. You can check it out at the link below. And over there, every Monday, our members get curated weekly lists, which is all well.
Wait, well, didn't Billy stop doing this and it's back now? What the hell?
Well, good, and it means a shitload to us, but it's obviously not an industry-wide solution, and that's why Valve is building something into their store. So, how is this any different to, say, you just scrolling the popular upcoming list? Well, remember, we're talking about Valve here. If they can't put an algorithm on it, why build it? So what they've done is they've personalized it, where every day the calendar refreshes with new data. It looks at games that you play a lot, then it finds games that similar people have wishlisted, and then it shows you those games. And just like the rest of the store, it filters out stuff that you don't want. That could be early access games, mature content, even ignored.
As expected, honestly, but this also has one obvious problem. Most of you have probably already figured it out. If you play, for example, only tower defense games, why the hell would the algorithm ever decide that you want anything but tower defense games, you know? So, discoverability outside of your immediate periphery becomes kind of bad. So, interesting.
Tags. You can do all of that to customize this calendar to actually be useful to you. And that means you can see anywhere from 10 to 500 games on one screen. And you can also filter it by tags. As an example, let's say you loved Hades 2 and you want to see all of the recent and upcoming roguelikes. Well, now they're in a visual date-based format, not just a list. Now, what is Steam hoping to achieve here? I think it's pretty simple. What they want is to surface new games that you don't know about. And along with that, they are cutting out the marketing middleman. Yeah, the marketing middleman. Let's talk about how it actually works, because we've got some specific figures from a recent successful game, one that was especially successful on PC, and it's actually the publisher quote that I started off this video with. Here's the game. It's called Little Rocket Lab. Basically just think Factorio meets Stardew Valley. And the good news is, it did pretty well. The publisher, No More Robots, was happy. The developer, Teenage Astronauts, were also happy. Now, Mike Rose, who runs No More Robots, reported around 80,000 players within 3 days. And for the purposes of this video, our question is,
that's another game that pretty much almost slaps everything except Call of Duty and Borderlands 4 in player numbers. It is insane. Dude, the amount of indie games still absolutely just destroying AAA numbers is absolute insanity.
Well, how did those players even get there? And the answer is shitloads of middlemen. Basically, No More Robots seems to be one of the good publishers out there. They very actively promote and support their developers. They don't just, fund them, see whatever works, and just demand a cut. So yes, they're a publisher, they are a form of middleman, but, they do actually help you navigate all the other middlemen. Here's where it gets interesting, you see. Mike Rose explained their revealed strategy for this game, and it's this. A wholesome direct that generated 8,000 wishlists. Very good start. It also helps that they had a Game Pass deal. This meant that the game could, quote, recoup all of its costs within a single week after launch. Now, if you don't have, say, a relationship with Xbox, you're probably not going to be getting yourself that Game Pass deal. But getting back to the story, another factor is that the game was obviously really good. And part of the reason why is loads of publisher-backed play testing. So that's all great stuff, but it's actually not what Rose credits for the success of the game. And that's
I have no idea what publisher-backed play testing is actually supposed to be, so I have some questions, you know what I'm saying? I have some definite questions here.
Because one of the things they did was a first for the company, and it actually worked. And that thing was putting loads of money into adverts and influencers. I mean, fair to say that we maybe would have a horse in that race, Mr. Rose. You could take out an ad spot one of our videos if you really want to. But anyway, he says that they spent 50 grand total, and they did a big burst of spend around Steam Next Fest. And then they basically did a bigger burst in the weeks leading up to the launch. Then on launch day, they used ads to make sure that everybody saw the game. Now, I want you to think about that number, the 50.
That does make sense. And at this point, I mean, using ads is easier than ever. Everyone can buy ads on Google at this point, pretty much. It's simple. Everyone can literally make an AdSense account, as far as I know. There are no limitations for you, and everything else is also kind of like that. Got a big website where you think your game is gonna find players? Well, just fucking email them and ask for an ad space. You're probably gonna get it. And, man, these ads, either they're great or they're not. I personally know a guy who had an internet store, and, well, it was doing poorly at the start, but then he just used one popular site in the country and just bought ads there, and suddenly he had a fucking booming business. It's that easy sometimes. It's really that easy with ads. But again, either ads do something or ads do nothing. That is the crazy part. And if you don't have a good game, I mean, the ads are not going to help you that much. Again, Magic the Gathering, Wizards of the Coast own that. And Magic the Gathering had this Lost Ark spin-off-ish type game. It's not really Lost Ark, but it was like, something, okay, it's more actually like you could think about it as a Diablo-like, but not really Diablo, but a little bit more Lost Ark-ish. And, I mean, they spent literally millions buying content creators to shill their shit and things like that. And, I mean, it failed miserably. They spent literal millions to get every single big person on Twitch streaming in the first day, and people were going AF fucking K in a town 2 hours in because the game was just so goddamn awful. If you brute force the ad part and it works out and people actually see it, it doesn't mean success, because if your game's bad, no one's gonna play it. There are more examples of games actually getting success and becoming massive because they're just good games and people shit and talk about shit and whatnot than the other way around.
Grand. They paid the equivalent of like multiple yearly minimum wage salaries just to market the game. Not to make the game, just to market it. And this is probably why Mike Rose finished his post-mortem with this idea. Quote, having a great game is still half the battle, but if you don't have the money to pay for success, you'll likely have problems. And here's the darkest part with it. No More Robots probably still got lucky, because unless you're using sponsor codes, tracking the impact of influencer marketing is incredibly hard. You can easily...
Even with sponsor codes, that's hard. The typical person actually, this is how it goes. The typical person sees something that they want from a sponsor. They open it up and they're like, I'm gonna think about it. And then a day passes, 2 days pass, and then maybe they decide, you know what, I'm gonna buy this shit. And and suddenly it's no longer the sponsors thing because you waited that long. Now it's just like a basic purchase or something like that, and the person that made you want to buy it now no longer gets the benefit from it. So sponsor codes are bullshit unless they work instantaneously.
Spend money for zero return. That lack of transparency is a problem. That's one that isn't there as much with regular ads, which can be targeted in an incredibly specific way. When I say that, I mean down to the granularity of, say, particular subreddits. Plus, it's also something that grows exponentially with your budget, where the larger your game is, the more money you're going to need to spend. I mean, take a look at some of these numbers. Scopely spent $1 billion on Monopoly Go marketing. Billion, a casual bill.
And that worked out for them.
Cyberpunk 2077 spent $142 million, which is 2/3 of the development budget. And even back in 2000...
I mean, yeah, but that's zlot. That's Polish, and I don't remember how much one zlot is, but that's not the equivalent of €1 or $1.
Of the development budget. And even back in 2009, Modern Warfare 2 had $150 million for marketing. The development? That was just $50 million. In an ideal world, sure, they'd put $200 million into just the game, and it would be so good that it would just sell naturally. But that's not the world that we live in. And remember, in some ways, this is a bit of a zero-sum game, where marketing costs are spent to take players' attention from everything else. Because whenever you pay for an advert, you're competing with the other people who could be, paying for that advert. So that's the bit that sucks, that there are some zero-sum dynamics because people have only got so much attention. Obviously, big viral moments and shadow drops also factor in here. Like, say, if Silksong just happened to drop in the launch window of your game. In that case, many indies just changed when their game was launching. But the thing to remember is that all of this effort is just in the hopes that your game gets inside people's heads. It's to drive them towards making...
Dude, all the people who were crying about the fact that Silksong did not think about, oh no, other games are launching in that time, Silksong needs to think. That was so absolutely pathetic. Eight game publishing dates in response to Silksong. Pushed publishing dates in response to Silksong. Wow! A whole 8 games were that absolutely retarded. Listen, Silksong's probably not gonna steal your viewership, your player numbers, unless you're literally trying to make a direct competitor to it. It's not happening. Relax, man. The indie devs that actually went on Twitter and started saying, Silksong should have thought about us, we're indie developers, we can't compete with this. Pathetic. Oh my god.
When their game was launching. But the thing to remember is that all of this effort is just in the hopes that your game gets inside people's heads. It's to drive them towards making a purchase whenever they reach the store. And here's the key difference, right, between overall what's going on and Steam's plan. Current marketing tries to go out into the world and find players wherever they happen to be. But Steam's new plan, well, it gets people where they already are. And it turns Steam into something that you can browse recreationally, that you can browse to find new games. I mean, you know how people may as well just
I'm not sure about this one, but I kind of think Steam already did that. I'm pretty sure Steam already was designed for you to browse games and buy shit that you want. Maybe I'm wrong here, but I kind of feel like that was already half of what Steam did, you know?
pay a few quid a month so they can kill their time browsing the Netflix library, never actually watching anything. And what it also does for Valve is ensure
I don't own Netflix, so I have never done it. But do people just browse Netflix libraries randomly and then not watch anything even though they think they would like something? That seems about right for someone who owns Netflix, actually, if I think about it.
their platform is essential at every step of development. Steam is big, it practically has a monopoly on PC game sales, but marketing a game on PC is actually hard.
I would like to remind everyone that Microsoft tried to buy Steam for, how much was it? 3 billion or some shit like that? I don't remember how much was it, but yes, Microsoft offered Gabe, the guy who has already turned down money because long-term success is a little bit more his sort of deal, and they offered him like 3 billion for literally the soul of gaming. That is probably one of the most hilarious things ever. Now, granted, I would fully believe Microsoft deep down think that Xbox is still actually bigger than Steam or something like that. Because they're just that stupid, right? They just are that stupid time to time.
Marketing on Steam is also extremely hard. There is essentially no real way to reach new players outside of the likes of Steam Next Fest. You see,
Wish listing and things like that. Gacha games have figured the way to do about this. If you wish list your game or something like that, and it gets a certain milestone, you get some free shit, which I think is actually really great as a strategy. But the problem is when everyone starts doing it,
devs can't purchase ads on Steam, and recent reports even suggested something quite bad, that even if players wishlist your game, that it doesn't guarantee launch sales. Now obviously, yeah, of course, it's not like wishlisting something's a legally binding agreement, but what has happened is the ratio of wish lists to purchases has actually went down over time. And this does actually matter. As we've covered before, devs need enough interest at launch, because without it, they're basically siloed off from players. You basically need the biggest day one that you can possibly get. That means hitting certain thresholds for reviews and things that will help you with the Steam algorithm. The challenge is, if people don't know your game exists, it's quite hard to do that. And the only way to reach new players after your launch is, well, external marketing, which is going to be happening outside of Steam. And that is, I think, why Steam wants to do more for smaller developers at the launch of their games. This is basically Valve trying to develop a system that will counteract some of the things that we've been constantly talking about on this channel for years. They're massively hindering the indie games market. Though they're obviously not doing this just out of the goodness of their heart.
Discovery... Steam is basically doing this because they understand that indies are going to be more money. Think of it about in this way. You have an indie game that's worth like $5, $10. Let's take $10 on average, right? A lot of them are worth 15 and $20 also, but let's take 10. Let's make it a little bit harder for this example. And then you have a AAA, or in Ubisoft's case, quadruple A slop, which most likely costs $70, and when I say 70, I mean $79.99, so $80. Sure, that $80 is a lot more than 10. 8 times more than 10, in fact. But how often do AAA games release? Not that much, do they? But how many indie games release for $10 a month, every month, every day? Well, it's literally like Billy said. You sometimes have days where there's literally hundreds of releases. So if Steam can actually get people interested in the new system of where they see a lot of indie games and indie titles, that's gonna give them more money, because you buying more games is probably going to end up with more money to Steam than, one AAA slot purchase like once every 2 or 3 months. Because there's way too many indie games, and you can just sell them. So that's going to work wonderfully for Steam if this works out. So that's going to make them a lot of money.
Do have their 30% cut, and developers can get far better cuts on other storefronts. But what I would say is that if they're building systems like this, and they are doing...
I know people watching this video use Epic Games, but most people don't use Epic Games.
things that help your game get discovered, that actually get you more sales, then that is Valve earning their 30% cut. So this is good news, but it's not perfect. There are still some obvious problems that could hurt devs. Like, to get into the system, players need to add games to their wishlist, and that would mean the developers still will be needing showcases.
Yeah, that's a problem. I have no idea how to even add anything to the wishlist. I just don't. I have no idea what a wishlist is.
In marketing to get started. And obviously,
And I have like what? Well, let me actually look. I have 61 games on Steam. Just open it up. Okay? Well, a lot of that has been free, but still, point being, 61 games, and I don't know how to wishlist anything on Steam.
Algorithms are not perfect. Right now, Steam faces criticism for some of its basic recommendations. They do things like suggest other games in the same franchises. So sure, if you like roguelikes, you'll get more roguelikes. But that actually can be self-reinforcing in a way that's a little bit tricky, because...
he's now gonna say the thing that I said at the start. Makes sense. Anyway, that was Baldur. Are you excited for this Steam change? Could be good. Could be a massive win. I mean, anything that makes me buy less AAA slop is kind of a massive win. And if we actually have a situation where there's enough good games, maybe we won't have to talk about the AAA being garbage all the time. Well, that's probably not that changing anytime soon, but one can hope. Anyway, thanks for watching. That was Baldur News. Bye!